Welcome to video number 2 of On30 layout here in our front dining room while we replace the floor up here, turn this into a construction site. I know I said I wasn't going to do any tutorials, but I run into a couple of things, particularly a problem that I kind of overlooked when picking up the wood. So I thought, what the heck, let me go ahead and share a little bit of that if I can help anyone at all and help promote this hobby. As fun as it is, perhaps someone else can learn and not be intimidated. I know modeling, when you look at some of the models online, they're really high quality things we're looking at, and I'd love to be able to model like that, but I don't want it to be so intimidating that you're just going to stop and not do it because we don't know how. So we'll learn this as we go. There are a couple of sources that I've been using for techniques, scenery, layout ideas and things that I kind of wanted to share. One of them is Luke Towan, and his techniques are really good. He's an awesome modeler. Joey Ricard at Trackside Scenery, also fabulous layout, and also an Eastern, I think it's a West Virginia theme to his layout. It's beautiful work that they do. And Dale and Steve at the O-Scale guys and Toyman Television, they've got an incredible layout on the second floor of Steve's house that just has to be seen to be believed. The quality of the modeling is just impeccable. So I picked up some foam. We'll go ahead and show you how I'm going to apply this to the deck while I describe the error that I made and how, when you move forward in this, we're just going to have to wing it sometimes. Figure it out, as we say, just figure it out. No particular techniques. A lot of what we're doing here right now, you'll never see again, so let's just make it work. I scored the bottom of this with a small wire brush. Went over the whole surface, back and forth, scored it up real nice so that some of this glue will permeate just ever so slightly into the surface of the foam. And I've got two cut edges. I tried to use the factory cut edges for part of the front as best I could. And the other two edges I cut. This wasn't the easiest thing to cut, particularly to get it into the car. It's really windy and snowy today, but anyway, I cut it a little bit oversized because it's much better to do that and come back and trim it down to fit the edges of the table rather than cut it too small. You really can't back out of that, and you don't want a lot of space between your masonite or your fascia and the foam. So let's go ahead and glue this down. Again, I've got the whole surface of this scored. Let's apply the glue. This is just regular carpenter's glue, nothing special. We did purchase some construction glue for some other applications. We're just going to put this down fairly liberally, get into the corners. Kitty cat help. Always got kitty cat help. It looks pretty good. Now I have cut edges. I want to try to keep on the front. Although, again, it won't matter. This is going to be covered with a fascia, and you won't ever see it again. So line up these corners. What I wanted to point out, and I guess it's a little bit late now if this is down, but along the edges, when I had this 4x8 plywood cut for the tabletop, this is sticking nicely. I asked the fella at the store to take my 4x8 plywood and turn it into a 5x3. Well, he did exactly as I asked him to. But when I got here and started putting all the parts together, this is not 3 feet wide anymore. I did not take into account the thickness of the 1x3s. So I have a little gap right along here, about an inch, and another gap right along here, about a half inch or so. I put some extra bracing up underneath so that I could nail that decking into it here, 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 all the way down. I screw it in, actually, use some of the screws. And it's going to be okay. It's not a big deal. There is a little gap right here. In fact, you never know. In the end, it might become somewhat useful to have that there. But I'm lining this up best we can with the face. This is an edge I don't want to have to cut again. So I'm lining this up as flush as possible with what I'm going to have the front of the table. And this is a cut edge back here. It overhangs a little bit, so I'm going to just trim this down later on, and we'll sand it and make it all nice and smooth. This is pretty flush. Looks pretty good. Again, over here, got a little bit of an overhang. We'll take a knife, cut this down, and then sand it down a little bit. There will be a fascia covering all of this all the way around, and so you want this very, very flush. Again, that's why you want the overhang. You can come back and cut this down. So lesson learned over there at the store we bought the wood from. I asked him to cut it 3 feet wide, and I have little gaps because it ended up being closer to 38 inches wide. It's okay. We'll make it work. It's not a big deal. Once we get all this foam down and the fascia board on, you will never know. It did, however, turn out amazingly level. I've done a lot of hand tools. That is perfectly level all the way down. I guess that's the advantage of using that miter saw we bought. Every cut was perfectly square and everything's level. I do want to get some feet for this thing so that yeah, it's beautiful. It's perfectly level. I'm going to get some feet in case I do get the chance of taking these legs off and taking it out and showing this thing if it turns out being worthy of it, so that we can just level them on the bottom of the feet, and any rot that may occur over the years, we can prevent that by not letting it sit on the floor. So what we need to do is weigh this down. This takes about 24 hours to dry. I've got a couple old towels to put down because I'm going to use the old rusty weights that are out on the carport. It feels like it's pretty secure. I think that should be enough glue. I don't want this rust on my foam. It shouldn't hurt it, but I don't want to take the chance. There's some old car washing rags here. We'll weigh these down. Let this sit about 24 hours. This glue will set up in about 30 minutes, but it shouldn't really start cutting or anything for about 24 hours. Come up with a couple of potential names. I mentioned perhaps Mohawk. Scrap that idea. Looking at Blazing Star Mine, or what was the other one? I can't remember. Anyway, we'll figure it out. We'll put it up on the internet. So let that sit 24 hours. Let me put one more in the middle. Using these old rusty weights. There we go. 24 hours. So, got a lot of leftover foam here. By the way, that piece of foam at the store this morning was $33, $34. All told so far, I think there's about $100 in this. I'm not a rich guy, but you know, that's reasonable to get this far and still not having spent $100. A lot of foam. The glue is super cheap. I did get some construction adhesive. I want to use that to help apply some of the scenery, and this. We'll use both this and the carpenter's glue. That's what this is. This is just plain carpenter's glue. So we've got a lot of foam left over to start cutting scenery as soon as this dries. I've laid out a pencil drawing on the surface, just kind of a rough idea of what we want to do here. And there's a lot of foam left over, so we'll, you know, build up a little hillside here. I'm going to have a tunnel over there. We're going to get some water and everything in there too. Another small hill starting the stream that's going to go right through here. So that's kind of it for now. I do want to show that little problem that I overlooked, that it's going to be okay, and in any way that we can help promote this hobby. I hope it's been helpful. We're ready. As soon as this dries, we'll start cutting the foam and building some of the hillsides, and perhaps that'll go up in the next day or two. Thanks for watching.